Boom. Yeah, we're into it. Alright. Dear traveller and welcome. Dear traveller and welcome. Here we are today. A fresh day. A nice day. We have got 0 degrees out where I am and it is icy cold. That's right, travellers. It is cold outside. Today we are looking at the big beefy boy that is the Nikon F4s. This film camera is an absolute beast and I'm going to tell you why. Straight out of the doors of high school back in 1988, this camera flung its backpack on its back and went for glory. The Nikon F4s made huge leaps in technology for photography and film photography, should I add. The Nikon F4s was the first camera let me get this right because this is quite a lot. It's the Nikon F4s is the word, well, should I say F4 if we want to be more technical. The S just stands for the extra battery grip thing it's got attached to it, okay, which increases the shutter speed, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, the Nikon F4 is the world's first professional autofocus camera. The Nikon F4 is the world's first professional camera with a built-in motor drive. This allows you to use so many different lenses. But this camera can run heaps of different lenses and lots of the old stuff, but still can run today's modern Nikon glass with autofocus. That's just unbelievable. The F4 is the world's first professional camera with modern matrix intelligent light metering system. This was a huge system when it came out. It was a total game changer. Nikon came out with it, and for these reasons, this camera was used by pros. This was a pro DSLR, came out for thousands of dollars. But the cool thing is, you can get them now for next to nothing. And even more so to that, you can get them for next to nothing because here's the thing, no one really likes them. No one rates the F4. No. Everyone says the F3 is the best camera on the planet ever made in history and all things said and done. Then they say that the F5 is just the perfect balance between technology and you know, this mechanical feel that a camera could ever have. Then they say the Nikon F1 is the original where it all started. This is where it all started, the baby, the origin story is the old F1. Then people say the F2 is the best because it's a mix of the F1 and F3 put together into one amazing camera. But no one talks about the F4. And it's a great camera. And it's cheap. It's cheap. And it's got, like I've stated in previous videos, which is really important, it's got a great metering system, which these cameras need. And this thing can run just about any lens that you've got. This thing can pretty much run most lenses. It's phenomenal how good the motoring system, focusing system is. For such an old camera, you're getting so much packed jammed into a camera. Also, this thing's like a little transformer, or should I say it's like a Voltron that just comes apart. You can just pull apart all the pieces. It's a modular camera, which makes it super exciting. So you've got a modular camera that's got a lot of modern features, comes in a body that was designed by Giorgio something like that, right? Designed by this fella who dabbles with Ferraris, so you know he knows his stuff. This camera is a beast, right? It is a certified beast. However, it does have some drawbacks. It does. We'll get to that a bit later. But for all intensive purposes, this thing is an absolute winner. So get your hands on a Nikon F4 if you can score one for a good price. I highly recommend it. We'll check out some photos and get into this thing. But first, let's check out some stats, yeah? Because I know you guys love your stats. So it's got autofocusing with one zone. You've either got continuous and single modes. So pretty rudimentary, pretty basic, but it does what it needs to. Powered by AA batteries, so you don't need any of these weird, strange batteries. Like I said, I've got the Nikon F4s here, which takes 6 AA batteries, which is awesome, and it lasts forever. These things never die. Some people complain and whinge and say that the batteries don't last long, but honestly, this thing just keeps firing, it keeps going. So I've never had a problem with that. This big boy comes in at over 1 kilo. You need to know that. He's a hefty little fella. Also, the cool thing about this camera is it has a great viewfinder. Not only is the viewfinder amazing, but it's got so many heads-up displays telling you a lot of detailed information that I just find is you know, obviously sorely missing in early cameras, but this has got all of it, man. This has got everything you need to know right there in that little heads-up display, so it's fantastic. Obviously, loading film is super duper easy. You just stuff the roll in, pull it across a bit, and slam the door closed. Wham! It's there. It fast forwards the frame so that as soon as you lock and load, hit the fire button, she's ready to go. The thing still looks cool, man. You put on a little stumpy, Nikon pancake lens, throw on a leather strap. This thing still looks cool. It's an awesome camera, and I really enjoyed using it. I got some great results, and I used this lens that it came with, which is a total sleeper. This lens is something special, okay? So not only is this review about the Nikon, but if you can get your hands on one of these lenses, it came with a manual focusing Sigma lens, and it is sharp as a tack. And what I love is, imagine having a wide angle lens that's also a macro lens, because then you've got the benefit of wide angle, you've got the benefit of being macro, which generally means the lens is sharp as a tack, and it also means you can focus right up close. Like, what's not to love? What is not to love? So this lens has got it all. I think this is a powerful lens. Only thing I could wish for was autofocus. Okay, but not autofocus, so what do you do? But definitely wide angle lens. And what was really cool about my model, I'm not sure if all of them have it, if this is just a standard, but the actual viewfinder has a split prism inside, so you can manual focus with ease. How cool is that? You can manual focus, so everything else can be digitized, mechanized. You've got motors running half of the camera. You've got autofocus if you want it, but if you go manual, it's got a split prism. That's so cool. And of course, you've got removable prisms and replaceable prisms, so you can get top viewfinders. You can get all kinds of different varieties of viewfinders that you can stick into this thing to just change the experience, to give you different ways of focusing and composing. So that's really cool. That's definitely a cool part about this camera. So that's the thing about this camera. It is built like a tank, and it's got all the dials and bells and whistles that you could ever possibly dream of. It's got extremely fast shutter speeds. You've got exposure compensation dials. You've got your automatic rewind, which requires you to push 2 levers simultaneously to activate it. But if that breaks down on you in a pinch, you can still do a manual wind. Why they added that, honestly, I don't know. This camera feels like it was built for the army or some kind of extreme condition where if the camera starts to break down, you can still utilize it. And I believe if the battery runs out, you can still activate a manual shutter that'll work at certain shutter speeds just to get you through. So this camera really has a ton of features, a ton of specs. Honestly, I'm just scratching the surface. This thing has so many little tiny features that it would take hours for me to go through it all. Now, I did mention there were some downsides to it, and look, there is, and it's probably what you're already thinking. It's going to be heavy. Yeah, this bad boy is heavy. He's a chunky monkey. I don't really care so much if a camera's heavy. That doesn't really mean anything to me. If it operates and it's fun to use, I will use it. I would have to say, if you had to compare the Canon 1N and the F4s, I'd be taking the 1N every single day. But saying that, it's an awesome camera. It's a real big chunk of tech that feels solid in the hand. It feels good. It's fun to play with, and it takes great shots. And I guess that's what it's all about, right? So let's have a look at some shots now. Tell me what you think. Let's get into it. For this visual onslaught, I thought, instead of having the usual music, I'm going to read you a chapter of one of my favourite books, which is The House at Pooh Corner by A.A. Milne. Chapter 10, in which Christopher Robin and Pooh come to an enchanted place, and we leave them there. And Christopher Robin took a stick and touched Pooh on the shoulders and said, "Rise, Sir Pooh de Bear, most faithful of all my knights." Sir Pooh rose and sat down and said, "Thank you," which is the proper thing to say when you've been made a knight. And he went into a dream again, in which he and Sir Pump and Sir Brazil and the Factors lived together with a horse and were faithful knights, all except Factors, who look after the horses, to good King Christopher Robin. And every now and then he shook his head and said to himself, "I'm not getting it right." Then he began to think all of the things that Christopher Robin would want to tell him when he came back from wherever he was going. and how muddled it would be for a bear of very little brains to try and get them right in his mind. So perhaps, he said sadly to himself, Christopher Robin won't tell me anymore. And he wondered if being a faithful knight meant that you just went on being faithful without being told things. Then suddenly again, Christopher Robin, who was still looking at the world with his chin in his hands, called out, "Pooh." "Yes," said Pooh. When... Pooh? Yes, Christopher Robin? I'm not going to do nothing anymore. Never again? Well, not so much. They don't let you. Pooh waited for him to go on, but he was silent again. "Yes, Christopher Robin?" said Pooh helpfully. "Pooh, when I'm not doing nothing, will you come up here sometimes?" "Just me?" "Yes, Pooh, I will be really. I promise I will be, Pooh." "That's good," said Pooh. "Pooh, promise that you won't forget about me, ever. Not even when I'm 100. Pooh thought for a little. "How old shall I be then? 99? Pooh nodded. "I promise," he said. Still with his eyes on the world, Christopher Robin put out his hand and felt for Pooh's paw. "Pooh," said Christopher Robin earnestly, If I'm not quiet..." He stopped and tried again. "Pooh, whatever happens, you will understand, won't you?" "Understand what?" "Nothing." He laughed and jumped to his feet. "Come on." "Where?" said Pooh. "Anywhere," said Christopher Robin. So they went off together. But wherever they go, and whatever happens to them on the way, in that enchanted place on the top of the forest, a little boy and his bear will always be playing. So there you have it, the Nikon F4s, an absolute beast, definitely something to check out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave some comments in the section down below. Let me know what you think if you've tried something like this. If you've got an opinion on it, just hit those bad boy comments and let's keep this train a-moving. As always, I'll be catching you on the next one.
It's finders, keepers, and here's lucky. All right,
before we go any further, let's see if we stand ourselves a little finder. Patrick, are you there?
Yes?
And are you ready to play Finders Keepers?
Yes.